I wasn't allowed to leave the house, not without his permission, not without him knowing exactly where I was going, who I'd be seeing, what time I'd return, not without a detailed itinerary submitted 24 hours in advance, approved or rejected based on his mood that morning. The day I tried to leave anyway, the day I finally, desperately tried to break free, I made it exactly 7 blocks before my phone started ringing. 17 missed calls in 3 minutes. Then the text started. "Where are you? Answer me. Answer me right now. You're making a huge mistake. Come home. If you don't come home, you'll regret this. I'm tracking your location. I can see you. There's nowhere you can go that I won't find you." My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the phone. I was standing on a street corner in downtown Seattle, rain soaking through my coat, people rushing past me like I was invisible. I had $47 in my wallet, a duffel bag with 3 days' worth of clothes, and a plan that was already falling apart. Because Trevor had my bank account, Trevor had my credit cards, Trevor had my car, the one in his name that he'd given me but could take back any time. Trevor had the apartment lease, the utilities, the internet password, the spare keys to my parents' house that he'd insisted on having in case of emergency. Trevor had everything, and I had nothing, except the small folding knife in my pocket that I'd bought at a gas station 2 weeks ago, the one I'd been carrying everywhere, just in case, the one that made me feel slightly less powerless, even though I knew I'd never actually use it. I stood on that corner for 43 minutes. I remember the exact time because I watched the seconds tick by on my phone, each one bringing me closer to the moment when Trevor would arrive, when he'd find me, when this fragile attempt at freedom would shatter completely. And then he pulled up in his Tesla, rolled down the window, smiled at me. "Get in the car, Cassie," he said, voice calm, reasonable, like he was picking me up from the grocery store. "Let's go home and talk about this. You're being irrational." I got in the car. Because I was terrified, because I had nowhere to go, because 5 years of psychological warfare had convinced me that he was right. I was being irrational. I was overreacting. I was lucky he put up with me at all. We drove home in silence. He didn't yell, didn't threaten, just drove, one hand on the wheel, the other resting casually on the center console where he could grab my wrist if I tried to open the door. When we got back to the apartment, he locked the door behind us, put my duffel bag in the closet, took my phone. "You need to understand something," he said, still calm, still reasonable. "I love you. Everything I do is because I love you and I'm trying to protect you from yourself. But if you ever try to leave me again, I will make sure you lose everything. Your family, your friends, your job, your reputation. I will destroy you so completely that you'll wish you'd never been born." Then he kissed my forehead, made dinner, asked me about my day like nothing had happened. That was 3 months ago, and I've been planning my real escape ever since. Have you ever been so trapped that breathing felt like an act of rebellion? Let me take you back 6 years to when I thought Trevor Bishop was my savior. I was 24, fresh out of a bad relationship with a guy who cheated on me with 3 different women simultaneously. I was working as an administrative assistant at a tech startup in Seattle, making $38,000 a year and living in an apartment I shared with 2 roommates who were always fighting. I met Trevor at a networking event I'd been dragged to by a coworker. He was 32, a senior product manager at a Fortune 500 company, confident and successful in a way that made me feel like I'd finally met a real adult. He approached me at the bar. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here," he'd said, smiling. "Is it that obvious?" I'd laughed, relieved that someone had noticed. "Only to someone who feels the same way. Want to get out of here? There's a great sushi place around the corner." We had dinner, then drinks, then he walked me home even though it was out of his way. He was charming, attentive, asking questions about my life like my answers actually mattered. "You're really smart," he'd said at the end of the night. "And you're undervaluing yourself at that startup. You should be making at least $60,000 with your skills." It was the first time in my life anyone had told me I was worth more than I thought I was. We started dating immediately, and at first it was perfect. Trevor took me to nice restaurants, bought me clothes because you deserve to look as good as you are, encouraged me to quit my job and find something better. "I'll support you while you look," he'd said. "No pressure. Take your time." He met my parents and charmed them completely, helped my dad fix his car, brought my mom flowers, asked thoughtful questions about their lives. "He's a keeper," my mom had whispered to me. "Don't let this one go." Red flags? There were some, but I didn't see them as red flags. I saw them as care, attention, love. The first one, Trevor wanted to know where I was all the time. "Just text me when you get there so I know you're safe," he'd say. "I worry about you." It seemed sweet, protective. I'd had boyfriends who didn't care where I was or what I was doing, who went days without calling. Trevor was different. Trevor cared. The second one, Trevor didn't like my friends. "They're kind of toxic, don't you think?" he'd say after I'd hung out with them. "Always complaining about their lives, but never doing anything to change them. You're better than that. You're growing and they're holding you back." I started seeing them less, then barely at all. It wasn't that Trevor forbade me. He'd never forbid me anything. He'd just express concern, disappointment, and I wanted to make him happy. The third one, Trevor managed my money. "You're terrible with budgeting," he'd said after we'd been dating for a year. "Let me help you. I'll set up a joint account, help you track expenses, make sure you're saving for the future." It made sense. He was better with money than I was. He made more. He had a financial advisor. He knew what he was doing. So I gave him access to my accounts, let him pay my bills, let him handle the rent, the utilities, the insurance, and slowly, without me noticing, my financial independence disappeared. The fourth one, Trevor controlled what I wore. "That dress is too short. You'll attract the wrong kind of attention. Those jeans make you look heavier than you are. Here, I bought you these instead. You're not wearing that to dinner with my colleagues. Put on something more appropriate." I told myself he just had good taste, that he wanted me to look my best, that he was helping me. The fifth one, Trevor monitored my phone. "Why don't we share locations?" he'd suggested. "That way, if anything happens to either of us, we'll know where the other is." Then, "Can I see your phone for a second? I need to check something." Then, "Who's texting you? What did they say? Why didn't you tell me about that?" Then, notifications on his phone every time I got a text, email, or call. The sixth one, Trevor isolated me from my family. "Your parents don't respect our relationship. Did you hear what your dad said about my job? He was being condescending. Your sister is jealous of what we have. That's why she's always trying to cause problems. Do we really need to go to Thanksgiving this year? It's always so stressful." Slowly, holidays became just the two of us. Phone calls became shorter, less frequent. Visits stopped altogether. And I didn't realize I was being isolated. I thought I was choosing Trevor, choosing our relationship, building our future. We moved in together after 2 years. The apartment was in his name. My credit is better, it'll be easier. And he paid the rent. You're still looking for a better job. Don't worry about it. I never found that better job. Every time I applied somewhere, Trevor would find a reason why it wasn't right. The commute is too long. You'll be exhausted. That company has terrible reviews. You'll be miserable. The salary is insulting. You're worth more than that. So I stopped looking, started staying home, did the cooking, cleaning, shopping, became essentially a housewife without the marriage or the children. And Trevor liked it that way. "You make our home so beautiful," he'd say. "I love coming home to you. You're perfect." I thought I was building a life with someone who loved me. I didn't realize I was building a cage. The control escalated gradually. So gradually, I didn't notice until I was completely trapped. He started checking my texts, then reading them aloud, questioning every message. Why did Sarah say she misses you? What does that mean? Are you complaining about me to her? He started timing my errands. You were gone for an hour and 20 minutes. The grocery store is 15 minutes away. Where were you for the extra 50 minutes? He started making rules. You need to ask me before you leave the apartment. I need to know where you're going and why. And when I pushed back, when I said this was too much, this wasn't normal, this wasn't healthy, he made me feel crazy. I'm just trying to keep you safe. The world is dangerous. Don't you watch the news? I'm not controlling you. I'm protecting you. There's a difference. You're being paranoid. This is what people who love each other do. They look out for each other. Gaslighting. That's what it's called. I learned that word later, but at the time, I just thought I was being difficult, ungrateful, selfish. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning 6 months ago. I woke up to find Trevor standing at the foot of the bed holding my phone. "Who is Marcus?" he asked. My blood went cold. Marcus was my cousin. We'd been close growing up, but I hadn't talked to him in years. Trevor didn't like him, said he was a bad influence. Marcus had texted me the night before. "Hey, Cassie, haven't heard from you in forever. Just wanted to check in and make sure you're okay. Call me when you can." "He's my cousin," I said, sitting up. "I told you about Marcus." "Why is he asking if you're okay? What have you been telling him?" "Nothing. I haven't talked to him in years. He's just checking in." "Bullshit." Trevor's voice was cold, flat. "You've been complaining about me, telling people I'm controlling, making me look like the bad guy." "Trevor, I swear I haven't." He threw my phone at the wall. It shattered, pieces of glass and plastic scattering across the hardwood floor. "You're not talking to him. You're not talking to anyone. Do you understand me?" I stared at the broken phone, at Trevor's face twisted with rage, at the door, locked from the inside with a deadbolt only he had the key to. And something inside me snapped, not into defiance, not yet, into clarity. This wasn't love. This wasn't protection. This wasn't normal. This was prison. That afternoon, while Trevor was at work, I tried the door. Still locked. He'd installed a smart lock that required a code I didn't have. I tried the windows. Painted shut, sealed with some kind of industrial adhesive. I tried calling for help on the iPad he'd given me for entertainment. No cellular service, Wi-Fi password protected, App Store disabled. I was trapped, literally, physically trapped in my own home. When Trevor came home that evening, he acted like nothing had happened, made dinner, asked about my day, kissed me goodnight. But the next morning, he installed cameras, 3 of them, living room, kitchen, bedroom. "Just for security," he said. "There's been a lot of break-ins in the neighborhood." But I knew they were for me, to watch me, to make sure I didn't try to leave again. I became a ghost in my own life. Days blended together. I cooked, cleaned, watched TV, stared at the walls. Trevor controlled the thermostat, the TV remote, the lights. I couldn't adjust anything without asking permission first. He gave me an allowance, $50 a week for personal expenses. Anything more required justification. He monitored my food intake. "You're gaining weight. Let's watch portion sizes." He timed my showers. "Water isn't free. 10 minutes maximum." He tracked my sleep. "You went to bed at 11:47 last night. Why so late?" Every aspect of my existence was controlled, monitored, restricted. I thought about leaving constantly, obsessively, but I had no phone, no money, no way to contact anyone. The doors were locked, the windows sealed, the cameras watched everything. I was a prisoner. Have you ever felt so powerless that even thinking about freedom felt like a crime? Then one day, 3 months after the phone incident, I found something. I was cleaning out the coat closet, one of my assigned weekly tasks, when I found an old jacket of Trevor's from college. In the pocket was a crumpled envelope addressed to me. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter from my grandmother, dated 2 years ago. She'd passed away 18 months ago. I hadn't been allowed to go to her funeral. Trevor said it would be too emotional for me. The letter read, "My dearest Cassie, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if Trevor gave this to you, he's a better man than I think he is. I'm writing this because I need you to know something. I left you my house, the house on Mercer Island where you spent your summers. It's yours, paid off, no mortgage. No one can take it from you. Your grandfather and I put it in an irrevocable trust in your name when you were 16. No spouse can touch it. It's yours alone. I also left you $200,000 in a separate trust account. Same rules. No one can access it but you. Cassie, I love you, but I've watched Trevor isolating you from your family, and it worries me. This house, this money, it's your safety net, your escape route, your freedom. If you ever need to leave him, you can. You have somewhere to go. You have resources. Don't let anyone make you feel trapped. All my love, Grandma Rose." I read the letter 7 times, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper. I had a house, I had money, I had a way out. Trevor had never told me, had intercepted the letter, hidden it, kept this information from me for 2 years. Because if I knew I had options, I might leave. And Trevor couldn't let that happen. I put the letter back in the envelope, put the envelope back in the jacket pocket, hung the jacket back in the closet exactly as I'd found it. Then I went to the bathroom, turned on the shower to mask the sound, and cried until I couldn't breathe. Not from despair, from hope. That letter changed everything. I had resources Trevor didn't know about. A house, money, options. But I also had a problem. I had no way to access those resources while trapped in this apartment. I needed a phone, internet access, a way to contact the trust attorney whose name was listed in the letter. So I started planning, carefully, methodically, like my life depended on it. Because it did. Step 1, I needed to get Trevor to give me back my phone privileges. I started being the perfect girlfriend, agreeable, pleasant, submissive. You're right, I was being difficult. I'm sorry for worrying you. I love you so much. Thank you for taking care of me. It made me sick, but it worked. After 2 weeks of this, Trevor started to relax. The anger faded. The monitoring became slightly less intense. "You've been so good lately," he said one evening. "I'm proud of you." I smiled. "I just want to make you happy." "You do. You really do." He pulled me close. "What do you say we get you a new phone? I think you've earned it." Step 2, get the phone, but don't give him any reason to take it back. Trevor set up my new phone himself, installed tracking software, gave me a restricted data plan, made himself the administrator on all my apps. But he made one mistake. He didn't disable my ability to delete apps and reinstall them without his tracking software. So I waited until he was in the shower one evening, deleted the tracking app, reinstalled it. In those 3 minutes without surveillance, I downloaded a second messaging app he didn't know about, one that looked like a calculator but functioned as a secure text platform. Then I found the business card for my grandmother's trust attorney, Rebecca Chen, that had been included with the letter. And I sent one message. "This is Cassie Morgan, Rose Morgan's granddaughter. I need help. I'm being held against my will. Please respond to this number only." I reinstalled Trevor's tracking software, went about my evening like nothing had happened. 3 hours later, at 11:47 p.m., while Trevor slept, my calculator app vibrated. "Cassie, this is Rebecca Chen. I've been trying to reach you for 2 years. Your grandmother's estate is ready to be transferred to you. What do you need?" I typed back, hands shaking. I need to access my inheritance without my boyfriend knowing. He controls everything, my money, my movements, my communications. I need to get out. Her response came immediately. This is domestic abuse. Do you need emergency assistance? Should I call the police? I hesitated. Trevor had always warned me about police. They don't understand our relationship. They'll try to separate us. They'll arrest me for no reason. You don't want that, do you? But Rebecca's next message made the decision for me. Cassie, I'm also a domestic violence advocate. I've helped dozens of women in your situation. You don't have to do this alone. Trust me, please. So I told her everything. The isolation, the control, the locked doors, the cameras, the terror. And she responded, "Here's what we're going to do." Rebecca's plan was simple, but required perfect execution. Phase 1. Establish financial independence without Trevor's knowledge. Rebecca transferred $50,000 from my trust into a new bank account, one in my name only, at a bank Trevor had never used, with paperless statements and no physical card. Everything was digital, accessible only through a password-protected app on my phone that looked like a weather widget. "This is your emergency fund," Rebecca explained over our secret messages. "Use it for nothing else. Don't spend a penny unless you're actively escaping." Phase 2. Document everything. I started keeping a journal, not on paper, Trevor might find that, on my secret app. Every incident of control, every threat, every locked door, every camera, every violation of my autonomy. I took photos, videos, screenshots of his tracking software, recordings of his threats. I built a case. Phase 3. Plan the escape. Rebecca connected me with a domestic violence shelter that could take me on short notice. She arranged for a burner phone to be delivered to a P.O. box I could access. She contacted my family, my parents, my sister, my cousin Marcus, and told them what was happening. "They've been trying to reach you for years," Rebecca told me. "Trevor told them you didn't want contact. They've been worried sick." I cried when I learned that. Cried because I believed Trevor when he said they'd stopped caring about me. Cried because I'd been so thoroughly manipulated that I'd cut myself off from everyone who loved me. But mostly, I cried with relief because I wasn't alone anymore. The escape was scheduled for a Wednesday afternoon, 3 weeks after I had first contacted Rebecca. Trevor had a mandatory work meeting that day. He'd be gone from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. That gave me 3 hours. The shelter had arranged for a volunteer, a woman named Patricia, to meet me 2 blocks from the apartment. She'd have the burner phone, cash, and a go bag with essentials. Rebecca would meet me at the shelter to begin the legal process: restraining order, protective order, access to my inheritance. All I had to do was get out of the apartment. Wednesday came. Trevor left for his meeting at 1:53 p.m. Kissed me goodbye. "I'll be home by 5. Have dinner ready?" "Of course," I said, smiled, played the role. He left. I waited 10 minutes to make sure he wasn't coming back. Then I moved. First, I disabled the cameras. Trevor had shown me how to do this once, in case there's ever an emergency, and I'd memorized the process. They'd go offline for exactly 90 minutes before alerting his phone. Second, the door. I'd spent weeks studying the smart lock, watching how Trevor entered the code. I'd narrowed it down to 3 possibilities based on the wear pattern on the keypad. I tried the first code. Wrong. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. Second code. Wrong. I had one more chance before the lock would alert Trevor's phone. I entered the third code. The lock clicked open. I grabbed the duffel bag I'd hidden in the closet 3 weeks ago, the same one from my failed escape attempt months earlier. This time, it also contained my grandmother's letter, my documentation, and everything I needed to start over. I walked out the door, down the stairs, out of the building, into the rain, and I kept walking. 2 blocks. Patricia was waiting in a gray Honda Civic exactly as planned. "Cassie?" she said as she approached. "Yes, get in." I did. She drove. And for the first time in 5 years, I was free. Have you ever taken a step so terrifying that your whole body screamed at you to turn back, but you kept going anyway? The shelter was a nondescript building in South Seattle, surrounded by other nondescript buildings. You'd never know it was there unless you were looking for it. Inside was a small common room, a kitchen, 8 bedrooms, and an office. There were 4 other women staying there, all with their own stories of escape. Patricia showed me to my room. Twin bed, small dresser, window with bars on it. Not to keep us in, but to keep danger out. "You'll be safe here," she said. "Trevor doesn't know this location. No one does except staff and residents. You're safe." I sat on the bed and cried, not from fear, from relief. I was safe. Rebecca arrived an hour later with a stack of paperwork. "First things first," she said, "we're filing for a temporary restraining order. Then we're accessing your trust. Then we're getting you financially independent. Then we're making sure Trevor can never touch you again." We spent 3 hours going through documents, signing forms, building the legal framework for my new life. The restraining order was approved within 48 hours. Trevor was served at his office, legally forbidden from contacting me, coming within 500 feet of me, or monitoring my communications. He violated it within 6 hours. 17 calls to my old number, 23 texts, emails, messages on social media I hadn't used in years, all saying the same thing. "Come home. You're making a mistake. I love you. You'll regret this. You can't survive without me." Rebecca documented every violation. "This will help when we go for the permanent order," she said. The trust transfer took 2 weeks, $200,000 deposited into my new account, the house on Mercer Island officially titled in my name. I drove there with Patricia one Saturday morning, the house where I'd spent childhood summers, where my grandmother had made me pancakes and taught me to garden. It was exactly as I remembered. Blue exterior, white trim, garden beds overgrown but still beautiful. Inside, furniture covered in sheets, walls lined with family photos, everything preserved like a time capsule. "This is yours," Patricia said. "All yours." I walked through every room, touched every wall, let myself believe it was real. I had a home. I had money. I had freedom. I had power. I moved into the Mercer Island house a month after leaving Trevor, spent weeks cleaning, repairing, making it mine. I ripped up the old carpet, painted the walls, planted new flowers in the garden beds my grandmother had loved. I got a job, a real job, one I found and applied for myself, administrative coordinator at a nonprofit that helped domestic violence survivors. $52,000 a year, benefits, autonomy. My boss, Diana, was a survivor herself. "You're going to be great at this," she said on my first day. "You understand what these women are going through. You've lived it." I worked hard, learned fast, started helping other women escape the way I'd escaped. Within 6 months, I was promoted to program coordinator. Within a year, assistant director. I was building a career, a life, an identity separate from Trevor. And it felt incredible. I reconnected with my family. My parents came to visit the Mercer Island house, both of them crying when they saw me. "We thought we'd lost you," my mom said. "Trevor told us you didn't want to see us anymore. We believed him. We're so sorry." "It's not your fault," I told them. "He manipulated all of us." My sister Emma visited every weekend, helped me decorate, took me shopping for new clothes. Clothes I chose, not clothes someone else approved of. My cousin, Marcus, called every few days just to check in. "I knew something was wrong," he said. "I tried to reach you for years. I'm so glad you got out." I had my family back, my support system, my people. But Trevor wasn't done with me. The harassment started subtly. Anonymous emails to my work account, nothing threatening, just unsettling. I know where you are, I know what you're doing, you can't hide from me forever. Diana reported them to the police. They traced the IP address, it was Trevor, using a VPN to mask his location. He's violating the restraining order, the detective told me. We can arrest him. But Trevor was smart. Every time police tried to serve a warrant, he was out of town or unavailable. His lawyer, an expensive one he'd hired specifically to fight my restraining order, claimed the emails weren't from Trevor. Anyone could have sent them. You can't prove my client was involved. Then he went after my job. Anonymous complaints to my employer, claims that I was unstable, violent, fraudulent, that I was lying about being a domestic violence survivor for sympathy and financial gain. Diana knew they were false, but she had to investigate, had to document, had to follow procedure. I know this is Trevor, she told me, and we're going to fight it, but I need you to be prepared for this to get worse before it gets better. She was right. Trevor filed a lawsuit against me. Defamation, claimed I destroyed his reputation by falsely accusing him of abuse, sought $500,000 in damages. His lawyer, Patricia Chen, no relation to Rebecca, was ruthless. She painted me as a gold digger who'd used Trevor for years, then fabricated abuse allegations to steal his money. Miss Morgan left a comfortable life with my client to pursue her inheritance, Patricia argued in court. When Mr. Bishop objected to her mercenary behavior, she retaliated by making false allegations of abuse and control. These allegations have damaged my client's career, his reputation, and his mental health. He deserves compensation. I sat in that courtroom listening to Trevor's lawyer twist my story into something unrecognizable and felt rage burn through me like acid. Then he tried to take my house. Claimed that because we'd been common law married, we hadn't, Washington doesn't recognize common law marriage, he was entitled to half of my assets acquired during our relationship, including my grandmother's house. Rebecca shut that down fast. The house was placed in an irrevocable trust before Miss Morgan even met Mr. Bishop. He has no legal claim to it whatsoever. This is harassment. But the lawsuit tied up my finances for months, legal fees mounting, stress compounding. Trevor knew he couldn't win, but he didn't need to win. He just needed to make my life hell. Have you ever fought so hard for your freedom only to have your abuser use the legal system to trap you all over again? Then came the worst violation. Trevor showed up at my house. I was in the garden, planting roses, something my grandmother used to do, when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned, and there he was, standing 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, that same calm smile on his face. "Hey, Cassie," he said, "we need to talk." My blood went cold. He was violating the restraining order, standing on my property, trespassing. "You need to leave," I said, standing slowly. My phone was in the house. The nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile away. "I'm not here to hurt you," Trevor said, stepping closer. "I'm just here to talk. That's all. Just talk. You're violating a court order. Leave or I'm calling the police." "With what phone?" He gestured to the house. "The one inside? I'll be gone before they get here, and then you'll just be the crazy ex-girlfriend crying wolf again." He took another step closer. And I realized he'd planned this. He knew where I lived, knew when I'd be alone, knew I'd be vulnerable. This was the moment he'd been building toward, the moment he'd take back control. But Trevor had miscalculated, because I wasn't the same woman who'd gotten into his car 6 months ago. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was furious. "I'm giving you one chance. Leave now or I will make you regret ever coming here." He laughed, actually laughed. "You're threatening me? That's rich. What are you going to do, Cassie? You're nothing without me. You always were." That's when I showed him the camera. I held at my phone, not the one he thought was inside, but the new one I'd been carrying in my pocket specifically for this moment. I've been recording this entire conversation. You're on video trespassing and violating a restraining order. Smile for the police. The color drained from Trevor's face. You're bluffing. Am I? I pressed send. The video uploaded to a cloud server, forwarded to Rebecca, copied to the police. They'll be here in 10 minutes. You can wait or you can leave. Your choice. Trevor's face twisted with rage. For one terrifying moment, I thought he might attack me anyway. But then he heard the sirens. He ran, and the police caught him 3 blocks away. Trevor was arrested and charged with stalking, criminal trespass, and violating a protective order. Bail was set at $50,000. He posted it within hours. He still had money, connections, resources. But the arrest changed everything. His employer put him on administrative leave pending investigation of serious allegations. His lawyer dropped him. His friends, the ones who'd believed his side of the story, started distancing themselves when the arrests became public record. Trevor's carefully constructed facade was crumbling, and I was just getting started. Rebecca filed a motion to make the restraining order permanent. We had evidence now, months of it. The documented harassment, the lawsuit designed to intimidate me, the arrest, the video of him trespassing. The hearing was scheduled for 2 months out. In the meantime, I did something Trevor never expected. I fought back publicly. I wrote an essay. Not about Trevor specifically, I couldn't, legally, while the lawsuit was pending, but about coercive control, about the invisible prison abusers create, about the ways the legal system fails survivors. I submitted it to a local paper. They published it. It went viral. Within a week, I had requests from podcasts, TV shows, other newspapers. Everyone wanted to hear the story of the woman who escaped, rebuilt, and fought back. I said yes to all of them, and I told my story, over and over, in detail, with emotion, with truth. I never mentioned Trevor by name, but anyone who knew us both, his colleagues, his friends, his family, they knew. They put the pieces together. And Trevor's reputation, the thing he'd cared about more than anything, disintegrated. His employer fired him for conduct unbecoming. His professional network vanished. His LinkedIn profile was flooded with comments from people who'd seen my interviews, who'd connected the dots. He tried to fight it, tried to spin the narrative, claim he was the victim of a vindictive ex. But I had evidence, documented proof of years of control and abuse, police reports, court records, witness testimony. The truth was louder than his lies. The permanent restraining order hearing was on a Friday in November, almost exactly a year after I'd first contacted Rebecca. The courtroom was packed. My family, my colleagues, other survivors I'd helped through my work. They all came to support me. Trevor sat alone at the defense table. His new lawyer, a public defender since he could no longer afford Patricia Chen, looked exhausted. Rebecca presented our case methodically. Every piece of evidence, every violation, every act of control, manipulation, and abuse. Then she called me to the stand. "Ms. Morgan," she said, "can you tell the court about your relationship with Trevor Bishop?" I could, and I did. I told them about the isolation, the financial control, the locked doors, the cameras, the terror. I told them about the letter from my grandmother, about Rebecca's help, about my escape. I told them about Trevor's harassment, his lawsuit, his trespass, his arrest. I told them everything. And when I was done, the judge looked at Trevor with something close to disgust. "Mr. Bishop," she said, "I've seen a lot of cases in my 20 years on the bench, but rarely have I seen such clear, documented evidence of systematic abuse and control. Your behavior toward Miss Morgan has been reprehensible. Your continued harassment of her, even after she obtained a restraining order, demonstrates that you have no respect for the law or for her autonomy." She banged her gavel. The restraining order is made permanent. You are forbidden from contacting Miss Morgan in any way, through any means, for the rest of your life. You are forbidden from coming within 1,000 feet of her home, her workplace, or any location she frequents. If you violate this order even once, you will face immediate arrest and prosecution. Trevor's face went white. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm recommending that the criminal charges against you proceed to trial, and I'm dismissing your defamation lawsuit against Miss Morgan. Your claims are frivolous and appear to be designed solely to harass and intimidate her. This court will not be used as a weapon by abusers. She banged her gavel again. We're adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom and into the November rain. My family surrounded me. Emma hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. My mom cried. My dad looked ready to fight anyone who came near me. Marcus grinned. You did it, cuz. You actually did it. Rebecca squeezed my shoulder. You were amazing in there. I'm so proud of you. Patricia, the volunteer who drove me to the shelter that first day, was waiting by her car. Need a ride home? Actually, I think I'll walk. It's not far, and I want to enjoy the rain. It's been 3 years since that courtroom victory. Trevor's criminal trial resulted in a conviction. He served 18 months for stalking and violating the protective order. He was released 6 months ago on probation. I don't know where he is now. Don't care. The restraining order is still in effect. He's legally prohibited from ever contacting me again. And I've moved on. I'm 33 now. Director of the nonprofit where I started as an administrative coordinator. We've helped over 200 women escape abusive relationships in the past 3 years. I live in my grandmother's house on Mercer Island. I've made it completely mine. New furniture, new paint, a garden that would make her proud. I adopted a dog, a rescue named Pepper, who was found chained in a basement, starved and terrified. She's thriving now. We both are. I've started dating again, slowly, carefully, with boundaries that would have seemed impossible 3 years ago. I need complete transparency in a relationship, I tell potential partners. No secrets, no control, no monitoring, complete autonomy and mutual respect, or I walk. Some men are put off by this. Good. That tells me everything I need to know. Others understand. I respect that, one man said on a recent date. You know what you need. That's healthy. We'll see where it goes. My family and I are closer than ever. Emma and I have coffee every Sunday. My parents visit monthly. Marcus and I text almost daily. I'm so proud of you, my mom said last Thanksgiving. You survived something most people can't even imagine, and you didn't just survive, you thrived. Grandma Rose would be so proud, my dad added. They're right, she would be. Because the house she left me wasn't just a house. It was freedom, safety, power. It was the key to breaking the chains. I think about the woman I was 6 years ago, the one who thought Trevor was her savior, the one who let herself be isolated, controlled, diminished. I don't blame her. She was doing the best she could with what she knew. But I also know I'll never be her again, because I've learned something Trevor never understood. True power isn't control. It's autonomy. It's choice. It's the ability to walk away from anything that diminishes you. Trevor tried to control every part of my life, my money, my movements, my relationships, my very existence. But he couldn't control the one thing that mattered most, my will to be free. And in the end, that's what broke the chains. I still work with survivors, still tell my story, still fight for better laws, better protections, better systems, because I know what it's like to be trapped, to feel powerless, to believe there's no way out, and I know what it's like to find a way anyway. Last week, a woman came to the shelter, 26 years old, scared, trapped, convinced she had nowhere to go. He controls everything, she told me, crying. My money, my phone, my life. I can't leave. I have nothing. I held her hand. I thought the same thing, I told her, but you're here now, which means you're already stronger than you think, and we're going to help you. You're going to get out. You're going to rebuild. You're going to break the chains. How? She asked. How did you do it? I smiled. One step at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of courage at a time. You're already taking the first step. Now let's take the next one together. That's what I've learned. Freedom isn't a destination. It's a practice, a daily choice to prioritize your autonomy, your safety, your worth. Trevor tried to take that from me, tried to convince me I was nothing without him, but he was wrong. I was everything. I just had to remember that. And once I did, the chains couldn't hold me anymore. So here's my question for you. When someone tries to control every part of your life, your money, your movements, your relationships, your very identity, do you stay because you think you have no other choice? Or do you fight even when fighting seems impossible, even when you have nothing but your own will to be free? Because I've learned that the most powerful weapon an abuser has is making you believe you're powerless. But you're not. You never were. What would you do if you found out you had resources your abuser didn't know about? Would you use them to escape, or would fear keep you trapped?